Today on the World Triathlon podcast, we hear from Nicola Spirig, a four-time Olympian, including gold in a remarkable London 2012 race and silver medalist at Rio 2016. Swiss star will be going for an unprecedented fifth Games appearance in Tokyo next year. Nicola, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you very much.
So you've had an incredible career that can be measured by one of the iconic races in the sport, and your Tokyo ambitions are clear. So in a normal world, we would be in games mode right now. So what has been the impact of the postponement of the games on your plans for that fifth appearance?
Yeah, obviously all the plans have been remade, have been changed. I'm in the mountains at the moment in Switzerland, where we usually have our summer camp, so that didn't change. That's quite nice. There are not that many athletes here, just the ones from Switzerland itself. But to me, it's still a really nice place now to just train, to have the family here on holidays, and we look forward to the next races whenever they will be. So we just train and enjoy the time.
How had your intended schedule been for the start of 2020?
Yeah, I was actually in a camp in South Africa at the beginning of the year, and was hoping to do the World Cup in Cape Town there, but that was cancelled, obviously, even before COVID came around. And then I was planning to do Abu Dhabi, but that was one of the first races cancelled.
And as far as that extra year, then, are you able to look at it and just say, okay, we will repeat the plan in a year's time? There weren't, the knock-on effect of that delay aren't too great on what you had got planned for 2021 and so on.
Yeah, I think, of course, first I had been disappointed because I was excited to race the Olympics this year, but then I also saw a lot of positives. One being that our third child has only been born last year, so to us, we are convinced that it's easy to go to the Olympics with a 2-year-old instead of a 1-year-old. It will sleep better, it will be easy to travel. So, and I was quite relieved that I finally have the time to do a proper build-up and to train for a base first and then build up properly, because after giving birth, it was a bit of a busy time, like getting back to training and doing the qualifying races and everything.
So you have 3 kids now. Your husband Reto was also an Olympic triathlete, of course. Presumably his experience as well and being in the sport must be a huge help in terms of keeping you on track for what you need to do and want to do as an athlete in relation to the family setup. And has after each kid, has it been progressively slightly easier to get back into the sport, or actually, having 3, does it then make it even more tricky to find your way back to having that time and that headspace to dedicate?
Probably both. First of all, as you said, my husband Rito, he has been an athlete himself. He has been to 3 Olympics, has been on the World Europeans and World's podium. So he knows exactly what I have to do to be a good athlete, what it is like, and that helps a lot. What helps me even more is that we could change roles, so that I'm training, I'm working, if you want to say that, and he is the one at home having the main responsibility for the kids. And for me, that's the only setup that works at the moment. I don't think I would continue sports if we would have to have someone else watching the kids. The first time, it was certainly a lot of insecurity, a lot of unknown. I was leaving open if I would go back to training and racing, or if I would just stop after the Olympics in London after having our first child. And I would have been quite happy with it. Like, I had such an amazing career for me. I was so happy with my career, and then I had my first child, and I could say, well, whatever happens, if maybe my body doesn't want to do it anymore, maybe my mind doesn't want to do it anymore, I don't have any more motivation to go to races and train so that hard, and I would have been happy to just stop and end my career and have the family. But I was also open to try and come back. And it worked quite well. And because he could do this setup with Rito at home, I was really happy to try and continue. And the body changed.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm a different athlete now, but not a worse one. It's just different. I had to adapt again to a slightly different body. The mind changed in the way that the family is always number one priority now. And of course, you have less recovery, you have a lot more things in your life, but on the other hand, it's easier to deal with disappointments in sports. It's easier to deal with bad training sessions because you just come home and you see your little kid smiling, and it all doesn't matter anymore. You know that there are much more important things in life, and that helps a lot in racing and training as well. So I think it has a lot of positives, but you do need to adapt. It's different with a family. And the second and third time, to me, every child is different, every pregnancy, every birth is different. So you can't just say, oh, I had one child, now I know how it goes, let's do it the second and third time. You have to adapt again. You have to see how the pregnancy and how giving birth goes, and to adapt the training you have to see what child you have born and how the character is and if it sleeps or not. So it's really, you really have to be flexible. But to me, it was just an amazing journey, and it still is. And it's a very busy life with 3 kids, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, it's so rewarding to have them at home and to see them. And I think the kids are making me way more proud than any win in triathlon. So that's my life.
The way that the family has worked, and that the kids have kind of become a part of that lifestyle, I guess, has in many ways extended your career. Then, if after the first kid, you weren't entirely sure how could you be sure? But do you feel that the fact that it has been able to continue unhindered, at least from the outside, looking at your results and so on, the result of, did it come naturally? Was it quite meticulously planned? Was that, or do you feel like maybe you've just been very lucky in a lot of ways as well, in terms of how it has slotted together so sort of seamlessly?
I think it's both. I've been very lucky to have an environment that allows me to combine both the family and doing sports. Like, it needs, as I said, it needs a partner who is ready to do that. It needs a coach. I was lucky to have a coach who said, yes, no problem. I had other athletes combining families and sports. That's possible. I'm happy to guide you through that. So I'm very lucky to have a coach with experience and with the openness to do that. I'm lucky that I can financially do it. Not a lot of Swiss female athletes actually would have the possibility to pay for a whole family, to provide a whole family. So there are a lot of puzzle pieces that had to fit. And as I said before, I didn't know, I couldn't know if my body would keep up, if that would be possible after 3 births in the end, and if my mind still wanted to do it. But on the other hand, yes, it definitely, like, my whole life, I wasn't just doing sports. To me, it was always important to live a different life as well. Like, I was doing normal school. I was studying. I'm actually a lawyer, so I finished my law studies. I have a foundation. I have a kids race series besides. So it was never just about sports in my life, and that was the same with the family. I knew I wanted a family, and either it would be possible combining it with sports, or I would have had a family and finishing and ending my sports career. So being able to combine both, yes, definitely made my career longer, because otherwise I would have just stopped and having the family and maybe doing something else.
You mentioned that your the way your body reacted after each birth and pregnancy as well, it has been different. So how, in terms of how you are able to train and able to race, what have been the most obvious changes, do you think? And it must have been interesting for your coach to have to work within those changes as well, was it?
Yeah, definitely. No, I was, as I mentioned before, I was glad that he had other athletes before becoming a mother and still keep training with him. So he had some experience, and I could also ask those athletes how they had felt, how it worked after giving birth, how fast they got back. But as I also said, like every birth is different and every pregnancy is different. So you really need to listen a lot to your body, and just your body gives you a lot of signs. So listening to your body and go by feel was probably the most important thing. I did that, of course, I did that before as an athlete, but I think I did it even more in that phase, and it was very important. Um, yes, my body was different. Of course, first it needs some patience, which is always difficult for an athlete. Certainly, during pregnancy, it's important to not train too much. Sports is really good for the baby and yourself, but not on a high level and like you used to as a professional athlete, but just as a keeping fit and doing some active work. That's really good. So I kept fit. Luckily I had 3 good pregnancies, and could always train basically until the last day. So I was really grateful for that. And I went into the second phase after giving birth with a bit of fitness, so I could build up, and I didn't have major problems.
It's
And
like a sort of closed season in a way. you
yeah,
know
exactly. Yes, it's funny because there as well, every mom, every woman feels different. But I was kind of, um, I was really happy to have my body for myself again, like to not be responsible for another little amazing human being in your belly, because you have to be so careful.
yeah.
I was always so careful to not do anything that would hurt me or the baby. And then afterwards, you're just responsible for yourself, body wise again. So it's
the
then it's
freedom the freedom of
yeah,
those first bike
kind of
rides back again,
yes,
and back in the
exactly.
mountains. And
Exactly. So, of course, being pregnant, I was always only riding inside because I didn't want to have the risk of crashing. So, being able to go outside and ride again, just that freedom, those things were really nice. And the body itself, I felt stronger, which was a surprise. Like, I think I have a bit more muscles after those 3 births, which I didn't expect at all. So that's one change that came and surprised me a bit. But yeah, you just have to adapt and work with it. So it's interesting.
yeah. So going into London 2012, and so it was just you and Reto at that at that point. Were you approaching that Olympics very much with this was your 3rd Olympics? Did you feel that much more confident? Did you feel like you were building to that potential gold medal performance?
Yes, to me it was really good to have 2 Olympics before London, to have some experience, to know how it feels like to go to Olympic games, feel the pressure, know the expectations and everything. The 3rd Olympics, I clearly wanted to win a medal. So that was definitely the goal. And yes, London was the Olympics. I was preparing 100%. And it was also the reason we knew we wanted a family. And we were discussing, and I said, yes, I would love to have a family just after the Olympics in London, because I really want to prepare the Olympics in London as a kind of selfish athlete, just doing everything perfect for the preparation, not having to look after anyone else. We moved to the place where our coach was was coaching, so we moved places. We were there really just for training, and that was, for me, that was really important, to being able to say afterwards, I did this preparation was like absolutely perfect and 100% that I could give, and I had to do no how do you say that, like I didn't have to look for everyone else, or look after someone. And with kids, that's always the case, they have first priority. So yes, London was like selfish athlete, being absolutely 100% fit, giving everything mentally and physically, and standing at the start line knowing what I have done.
And it was such an unbelievable race. In obviously the finish was amazing, but in terms of, you know, it's you and Lisa side by side for the duration. Do you remember getting a sense that, were there various points where maybe she tried to shake you, you tried to shake her? Obviously there were other people in the mix as well, but did you at some point realize, you know, this is going to be between me and her, basically?
That was funny. Not really, actually. I saw her after the swim, and I was quite happy to be close to her. I saw Helen Jenkins as well, getting out of the water. So I was very happy that I was among those athletes, because I knew they were really fit and in a good shape. So I saw them after the swim, but after that, I was just trying to catch the first small pack on the bike. I didn't really see them much on the bike, but just tried to control the pack. After we caught the first pack, save some energy, stay out of crashes, and didn't really knew how they were riding, or just knew that they were in the pack. And then on the run, we were, I'm not sure, the group got closer, smaller and smaller, the longer we ran, and in the end we were 5 or 6 people. And I didn't think it would be between Lisa and me. I more thought it would be either Helen or Erin Densham. I knew Erin, she had a really good start of the year, and Helen had an amazing start of the year, but I knew she was a bit injured, so I couldn't really tell how bad it was. But Lisa was always a hard racer, so I didn't count her out. I was just, to me, it was important that I myself could deliver the best performance possible, and that I concentrated on me and really doing 100% what I could and deliver that, and not really, it wasn't about who against which athlete I would sprint, but that I would win the sprint.
But equally, you're, as a triathlete, you're not a sprinter. You're not training to get that extra centimeter at the finish line that obviously sprinters do train for. So when it literally came down to those last 10 meters, how did you think, right, there's something extra that I need to give here, just to, because you were so side by side?
As I said, I do have a really experienced coach who had a lot of world champions and Olympic medalists before me. So he was actually telling me there was a huge chance that it would end in a sprint. And that's why we did train the sprint in training. Like after every hard track session, I would sprint against the guys in my squad. So that was always the last 200 meters, no matter what the training was. I was a 200-meter sprint. So I did prepare a lot for that occasion, and that helped me as well. Like that, and Lisa and me did sprint against each other before, just a few weeks before the Olympics. I think it was the last time in Kitzbühel, and I was able to beat her there. So little things like that, just details, sometimes make the difference between also the confidence, like, yes, I can do this, I can win, I know how to sprint, or like, maybe she might be stronger. And even that little thought can make a difference. But yes, of course, we all know sprinters in triathlon. So I think you could see the finish. I was not leaning forward, I was leaning a bit backward. So I was just glad it turned out like this.
Mm. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, is it something that you ever think about, had the 3-4 millimeters been Lisa's rather than yours?
I see the sprint finish quite often when I have a speech in front of a company or something, and every time I think, and sometimes I say, I'm glad it finished this way again, and not suddenly Lisa is a centimeter in front of me. So yeah, it's always, I always still have a lot of emotions and goosebumps watching the sprint and seeing how close it is.
Mm.
But I had a discussion with my mother a few years ago if it was just luck. And she said, "Oh, you were just lucky." And I said, "Well, you always
Thanks,
need
Mum.
luck." Yes, exactly. And you always need luck to be there, to not be sick, to not have a flat in the race and stuff. But I do think, like, I was so aware of the situation. There was a screen at the finish line for the VIP guests to see the race. The race was on live on that screen. And I was watching Lisa on the screen coming closer behind me. So I was extremely aware of the situation. I knew this was a sprint. I knew this is a 4-year preparation, and now is the few seconds you can win or you get second. So I knew I gave everything, and in my head, knowing how much energy and how much work I put in to that preparation for this specific race, for this specific moment, I just knew I had to get to the finish line somehow first. And I think in the end I ran more with the head than with my legs, because there was nothing there anymore.
Mm.
But to me, it was not just luck. It was really, like, I think even 3, 5, 10 meters more, I would have still be in front, just because I wanted it so bad, and I knew I should be the better sprinter.
So you were actually watching it on the big screen as you were coming down?
Exactly. I was watching Lisa and me, like, sprinting to the finish line on the big screen. So yes, I knew without looking back, I knew exactly that she was coming closer, and that it was going to be a really, really tight race.
Geez, that must have been quite off-putting or surreal, or what a...
Well, I knew the situation from some track races. If you go to big track meets in the stadium, you have the screens, and
Ah.
you don't look back, you look at the screens and watch the situation there. So I it wasn't unfamiliar, but yeah, it makes you aware that how close the athlete behind you is.
And to have had that achievement and to have done it in that style and on that stage, and you know, you say you yourself have watched it back several times when it's been, you know, you've been doing an event or whatever, and so it must be amazing. You have world champions all the time who never have that iconic moment. For you, it, you know, that massive race also dovetailed with being an iconic moment. The fact, is it odd to think that thousands, millions of people still watch it all the time, that it's a bit of footage that inspires next generations all the time, you know, that it will be, you know, it's an immortal piece of footage. Is that a strange sensation in a way? Do you ever think about it?
No, actually, I have never thought about that like this. I knew we were joking sometimes, and I said, well, I would have liked it better if I would have time to take the Swiss flag and enjoy the finish instead of sprinting to the last centimeter. But of course, if you put it that way, and yes, you're right, like, such a lot of people know this sprint, watch it again. And to me, it was quite amazing how many persons came up to me after the Olympics and were not asking me how I felt, but were telling me how they felt watching the sprint, and how and where they were. Like, they were on holidays and maybe had no TV and had to go to a restaurant to watch this sprint. And, like, everyone had this little story about how they lived the sprint and saw the sprint and wanted to tell me, like, because there was such a lot of emotion from their side as well. So that really, in the beginning, it really amazed me, but made me realize that yes, it does inspire quite a lot of people, and that's nice to see and nice to know, and that's why I also initiated the kids races and the foundation to just show the kids that well, even if they know that there's an Olympic champion at that race, or if I show them the medal, they are so excited. So that definitely is nice to see.
And it shows the power of the Olympics and the sort of universal impact that it can have, doesn't it? If the fact that, I mean, it's about, people can be watching over breakfast at home someone rowing or triathletes performing at that level, and there isn't another sports event that can bring out such incredible emotions every day for 2 or 3 weeks as well.
It did take a while to realize I'm the Olympic champion. Like, it's not just that you cross the finish line and say yes and realize the whole impact. It takes a long time, I would say. And just probably to explain to people how it works after crossing the finish line, I think, yes, in our case, it was also a bit special because we first had to wait until actually it was clear who won. And then immediately afterwards, there's a presentation. Immediately afterwards, there's a press. You have to answer questions. You have to go to the press conference, doping control, another press conference. And then, like hours afterwards, you first have time to take a shower. And then, but that's for 10 minutes. And then you have to go to the Swiss house and you have a medal ceremony there. And then you have dinner with your staff and friends. And so there is never even a moment where you can sit down and think, oh my God, I actually am the Olympic champion. It took a long time first to realize, yes, I am the Olympic champion now. That was really weird. In Switzerland, there are only 4 women in history who have won a gold medal at the Olympic Summer Games. And the first one was in 1900.
Wow.
So it's huge. Like, it's something that obviously doesn't happen really often. And then actually my coach came to me and he said, now you have an obligation. Now you need to inspire your people. And I said, well, no, my goal was to win that race. And he said, no. Now do you actually are the Olympic champion, and now you have to you have to use that and inspire your people and give back. And that's when I started to think about it, and to realize that I would like to inspire kids and help kids and show them what sports can do to their lives.
Rio 2016, and coming back in as defending champion, but obviously preparations having been hit. You broke your hand in Abu Dhabi, right, at the start of that season. And obviously Gwen very much sort of hitting her prime as well. Obviously the you and Lisa battle for that iconic finish, but you versus Gwen Rio 2016 was equally absorbing as a spectacle.
Yeah, definitely. It was not the best preparation, as you mentioned. I was doing the first race of the season in Abu Dhabi. I was quite excited because everything was going really well. And then due to a mistake of another rider, I crashed and I broke my hand. So that changed the whole preparation, the whole plans. I wasn't able to do any other international races before Rio, so I haven't raced against the best girls. Like, I think I hadn't raced Gwen since 4 years, since the Olympics in London, because I had a baby and I was going for the Marathon Europeans in 2014 and did an Ironman, and so we always missed each other, and I wasn't sure what to expect. It was certainly not the easiest preparation. Also, being a mom and being the defending champion, and knowing that Gwen, when she was going on the run course with the first girls. I think she had never been beaten since the 4 years. So we prepared the best we could. I had different tactics going into the race, and I felt quite well. I was quite confident. I was in a good shape in the end, and it was a huge challenge. Like I tried to do a lot on the bike. I tried to get away, but the other good riders like Flora Duffy, she had a bad day. Helen Jenkins was sick. Yeah, the other one or two Americans who would have been strong were like having cramps and stuff. So I didn't have really some people to ride with. I was just trying to make the course hard. And then on the run, I knew that Gwen would be really fast. So I just tried to hang on and really suffered the first half. And then she showed me that I should go in front. And for me, it was like, oh, maybe she isn't 100% sure she's winning. So maybe maybe I do have a little chance. But then I waved her in front again because we were in the headwind and she didn't want to go in front. So I said, well, I already have a medal, so you need to do more work. And that's where we were discussing a little bit. And for me, that was the hope that I could get her out of her rhythm and make the race different to what she's used to. But I also knew I only had 10 seconds because number 3 and 4 were only 25 seconds behind. So I needed to be careful they wouldn't catch up. So it was a tricky race. I was really proud in the end because I thought I had given absolutely 100%. Gwen was better, but to me, that was a better race than London. I delivered a really, really good performance. And winning another medal, silver medal this time, and having my family like Yanis and my husband Rita waiting at the finish line was probably even more emotional than the gold medal. Like to me, that was knowing all the circumstances and what I've done. I was really, really proud of that race.
Mm. And you and Gwen were you able to sort of enjoy it together, like have a little laugh together about the conversations and so on afterwards?
We didn't really meet for a lot of occasions. Of course, we hugged at the finish line and then we had this medal ceremony. And then we met at the sponsors tent a few days after. But funny enough, the race wasn't really the topic, but she was seeing Yanis and my family. And she said, oh yeah, I want to have a kid. I want to have a kid. So that was actually more the topic. And we didn't really discuss the race that much. Yeah. And I didn't see her afterwards. So that was it.
So given Rio 2016 with Yanis, was it Yanis? Sorry, your oldest?
Yes,
with
Yanis.
Yanis watching Athens 2004. Do you have a favorite Olympic memory? Would it have to be 2012, or if you're looking across all 4 Olympics, even that first qualification, knowing that you'd qualified for Athens must have been enormous as well?
Yes, it's really difficult to pick one Olympic memory that stands out. Of course, standing on the podium, on the top of the podium, and hearing the Swiss anthem as the Olympic champion, that will always bring a lot of emotions and goosebumps. But Olympic Games is also about a lot of other things. And for example, as a young athlete in Athens, just sitting in a food tent and watching the athletes coming in and going out and seeing the shapes and sizes and the huge basketballers and the really small gymnasts, and like realizing that you're at the biggest sports event in the whole world and all the best athletes of the world are here. Such moments were really impressive to me as well, and that's what makes the Olympics. So and I think that's one reason I'm now still going for my 5th Olympics. I've won 1 medal, I've won 2 medals, so it's not really that's a challenge as well, but it's also just the Olympic experience and the stories around it. And now going with my 3 kids will be an experience in itself that you can never experience otherwise. Like, it's just so precious that I think will be amazing.
Why wouldn't you want to be involved? Yeah. I mean, yeah. Do you think you would go even with your family, even just as a spectator? Because it is just something that you can't help but get swept up in, right? And it's not necessarily the first thing people would think of as a family holiday or trip,
Yeah,
so on. But it's
yeah, definitely. I think as a family, like, if you don't go there like as we go now for a real big reason, you think about it twice, because it will be really hot in Tokyo. If we have a lot of people, our kids are still small, so it might not be possible to do some things that take longer. So I probably wouldn't at this stage do it just for a family holiday, but definitely we will be there. And my goal, I was already asking for for after my race to invite the family to the Olympic Village. You can do that with the family, and to show them everything, and to really give the kids an impression about what the Olympics are and what it's all about. Yeah.
You didn't do the Tokyo test event, did you? What have you seen or know of the course there and the bike course and so on? Is it something you're excited at the prospect of racing on?
Yes, definitely. I wasn't going to the test event because the youngest one was like 3 months or 4 months, so it just didn't make sense as a family. But I have watched the videos, I've watched the race, I have all the athletes, the Swiss athletes were telling me all their experiences, and I find the bike course really interesting. It will be flat, but I think it might still be a challenge with a lot of corners on the course. So yeah, I'm excited about racing there, because also that's one of the fascinating things. At each Olympics, my circumstances changed, like from young athlete to experienced athlete to um, real contender to having a family and being the Olympic champion, and now to having 3 kids. Like, I always needed to adapt and to think about how do I prepare to still be able to be the best I can be at the Olympics. But then it's also the course, which is always changing and which is always different. So that's something interesting as well. You always need to adapt and to change your training to suit the course.
And I mean, yeah, your youngest was only 3 months old for the test event, but then obviously the Lausanne Grand Final was just after. Obviously, much more local and handy for you to be involved in. But that, I mean, it was a tough bike course, and it showed that you still have that insatiable drive on the bike, and that that was an impressive performance, and it looked like a race you enjoyed, even if you weren't necessarily getting a huge amount of help on that bike pack to really drive that group forward and help close the gap.
Yeah, to me it's always an honor to start at home in Lausanne. It's a great atmosphere. It was great to start in Switzerland at the World Championship Series final. So I enjoyed that. The course, as you said, was really hard, and I knew I wasn't 100% fit, of course, after such a short time after giving birth. So I just did my best, and I suffered a bit on the run, but being able to still be top 10 in the world with those circumstances made me really proud, and yeah, I was happy with the race.
Great. Well, Nicola, thank you very much. It's been lovely to talk to you.
No problem, thank you.
Some brilliant insights from an inspirational champion there. And we'll be back next week with another special guest. Don't forget to comment on the World Triathlon Instagram and let us know who you would like to hear from on the World Triathlon podcast. Thanks for listening.